Before we begin, thank you very much to Brave Agito for joining my Patreon campaign, and thank you for giving me something fun to shout out. That is very cool. Very cool of you to actually support the show. Thank you very much for doing so. You are helping to keep the channel afloat and keep the daily content coming, and I always do appreciate that. So thank you very, very much. I want to get right into it. No plugging, no extra stuff today, because we got to talk something that I've talked about in bursts in other videos, and I know some of this we've talked about in the past, but we're going to talk about it now as one big whole, because it is kind of a weird little area of mine. So, we know Hasbro loves their repaints. They will figure out any way they can of reusing any mold. Today, they will find any way of using sections of a mold just to make a brand new figure a little bit cheaper. And you know what? That's toy design 101. The fact that they can use just the upper legs and like the hands of one figure for another figure and you don't really notice, you know, there's nothing really wrong with that. It doesn't hurt the toy, doesn't make it worse or better. It just kind of makes it a little bit more economical for them. And you know what? Anything that makes Transformers profitable to produce keeps Transformers going longer and longer and giving us more of what we want. So I'm perfectly happy to accept some weird repaints. But there's some that I've been waiting for seemingly a long time, and it's just never happened. And there's a few toys that have come out that seem ripe for repainting and new concepts, and it just never seems to happen. It's weird. It's weird where they'll decide to go with some random Diaclone repaint instead of something more well-known to the fandom. So this is just a quick little list. This is just a set of Transformers that I've always wanted to see repainted, and most of them having new molds to do it, and it's just never happened for whatever reason. So let's take a look at the color schemes I want, shall we? This starts with someplace I've talked about before, and that is the Marvel comic books, where I feel like there's enough characters with modifications to their color schemes that you could absolutely get away with producing toys based on them. We see like Megatron here in a more white color scheme with darker gray helmet. That's his shattered glass colors, so at least they do actually utilize that. And I mean, that's also his original G1 commercial colors, so there's another basis for it, but still. You look at Galvatron here, and it's supposed to be closer to what he looked like from the original toy line, and yes, indeed it does, but the grays are not right, and what is certainly not right is the steel blue that encompasses most of his body. I'm still waiting for a Galvatron toy to come out in this color. We have a toy-accurate repaint of Kingdom Galvatron. That's all well and good, but it's not this one. It's not this one. This one, I actually really think, I honestly think the dark gray and the purple works really well with that steel blue color. I think that looks really, really nice. I'm just waiting for anything to use that color scheme. That's just one example. A lot of the Marvel stuff is just modifications. Color tones are a little bit off. Like head design, like the head color sometimes is off, or like much more close to how they looked as a toy rather than how they looked in the animation. But there's the extreme example I know I've brought up before on this channel, and that is Soundwave. This one seems blatantly obvious to get a repaint at some point, especially if that Walmart mold is available now. We've seen where the Volkswagen from the Netflix, the Bumblebee Volkswagen from Netflix, the license for that has expired because they got to reuse it in Buzzworthy Bumblebee, meaning that the Soundwave should be clear now as well. And when so many people are demanding another shot at that mold, it really does make me wonder why Hasbro's not pulling the trigger on it yet, or why they haven't gone ahead and done this version of the character, which I think I really like the way Soundwave looks in purple. The question would it be with or without the faceplate? Because Soundwave was seen without his faceplate in the Marvel Comics in this color scheme. Swappable faces would be really super cool. I don't foresee that happening, but it would be neat. And it's just a nice looking color overall. It's a nice shade of purple. I like it. I want to see it. Who knows? Hasbro's repaint happy all the time, so I'd imagine it should be on the way. Here's one that's definitely not on the way, but man, I would like to see it. So, as long as we're speaking about Soundwave, let us discuss the Machine Wars version of the character. And I'm only bringing this up. Now, this is normally not one that I would naturally bring up because Machine Wars is pretty obscure these days. And when they do Machine Wars stuff, it traditionally doesn't do very well. There's fans that remember it and they want it, but ultimately, it's just not a very well-remembered line. However, I bring it up now because we have this opportunity to actually make this toy again, and it's called Double Dealer. So, Earthrise Double Dealer, not only, of course, the same vehicle mode, but also the fact that the chest gimmick actually has Soundwave's cassette gimmick, complete with, like, remolds of his cassettes to act as Double Dealer's engines. That screams like it. Why is this not a Soundwave yet? Why was this not Machine Wars Soundwave yet? It's so obvious. It's so simple. Like, it's all there already. I mentioned Diaclone, and Hasbro goes to Diaclone a lot, but there's one that they haven't, and that is the Red Mirage. And this was a little bit surprising considering we've seen 3 Mirage toys, and now Mirage is like a major character in the new movie. So we have seen him, come up again in Classics, in Combiner Wars, and now in Siege, and then remolded into Earthrise. So where's the red one? Where is this one? I mean, with the like that subtle gold and the red, I think it looks really, really sharp. And this is another very obvious one I have not seen them do, and I'm just kind of like scratching my head and trying to figure out why, because it's not even a hard one. It's just 2 color swaps. This I would go for in a heartbeat. It looks really cool. And as long as we're remolding and repainting this one, why don't we do this Skids? Where is this Skids? Towline's getting a repaint. They're doing a character. They're doing a new figure. We're doing one of the Junkions up as Towline, even though in robot mode it hardly works. This would work in both modes, and yet we don't see this one. This should be like the RID 2-pack for Legacy. It should be Mirage done in these colors, and then the Junkion done up as Towline. That should be the 2-pack. Especially because in the US, these 2 are available in 2-packs only. I'm the one that has to think of these things. Clearly Hasbro isn't. So, okay. So, on a similar tone to Diaclone, there's 2 repaints I would like to talk about, and it's something that's shocking to me that we have not seen it. Where is all of our Megatron variations? Now, this is a pretty bad photo. I'll be honest with you there. But it gives you the idea of what's going on. So, Megatron was at one time repainted to look more like, a darker black gun. Still had the chrome though, so it still had silver to it. But the big change was that it was brown along the legs to make it look more like, the handle of the gun was wood. But it's not going to be something we get because gun, but it's a variation of Megatron that does not exist anymore, and we have never, as much as Black Optimus has taken off, this is Black Megatron, done in the exact same vein with the exact same start, but it never took off beyond this, probably because it just doesn't look different enough. But it's the starting point, the color scheme is there, and I've never seen it replicated. There's another Megatron color scheme that is actually a little bit better known than this, by proof that the photo is much better quality of it, and that is this. This is from the VSX 2-pack for Convoy and Megatron. Flat gray, which would look darker on a modern figure than the standard off-white they use now, and blue rather than red. Again, it's not the biggest of changes, but when they're trying to put Megatrons and Optimus Primes on the shelves all the time, every chance they get, it is a little bit weird that they constantly skip some kind of homage like this. We've seen how many repaints of that Siege Megatron at this point? How many retools have they done? They're about to do another one. There's another version of that toy coming out. That was a War for Cybertron Siege toy, and here we are almost 5 years later, and it's still in production. They're still using it. Please come up with a new Megatron mold, and then do some different homage-y colors to it. That would be really, really cool of you. Here's one that has burned me forever. Let's step away from G1 stuff for now, and we're going to go into Beast Wars because this irks me for so long. Where is my Predacon Rhinox? Where is this color scheme? This is so obvious. This is so obvious. I think everyone has asked for this. We've had Kingdom Rhinox and Generations Rhinox before this, and both times it was ripe for this repaint, and it just never happened. It's absolutely frustrating at this point because it's a cool color scheme. The purple rhino, the silver details, the more toxic shade of green. This is such an obvious one. It just boggles the mind. Like, why is this not? Is it because they never get the Rhinox toys right? Because the Generations one had the messiest loose legs you'll ever find, and then no one seemed to like the Kingdom one. So like I guess Rhinox just never has a toy good enough to repaint because neither one of them ever got repainted. Even the original Beast Wars toy never got a repaint into this. Like, man, it's 3 Rhinoxes that missed the boat. And as long as we're repainting him, why not do the same thing to Black Arachnia with her trigger color scheme? So this one is like, I mean, again, it's kind of simple. You tone down some of the gold shades. You paint most of her silver. With that spider deco on the chest, red eyes, look brilliant. It's not too hard to do. It still looks really, really cool and really, really wicked. The real twist you could do to this is when you transform her into spider mode, instead of that Widow's hourglass, you put like the face of the Vok on there instead. Well, that's the real trick. That's the real trick. Or like one of the Vok glyphs from the disc or from this episode. Like there's options there. What you do is you put Rhinox and Black Arachnia in a 2-pack together, and you call it Power Corrupts, and you sell 1 million copies of that 2-pack. That's what you do. If you want to throw a Pterosaur in there that's got his Power Surge energy lines going across him, that works too. But yeah, this is another one. This is another one that just seems blatantly obvious, and that's never been done. As long as we're talking about Beast Wars spiders, where is my original version of Tarantulas? Again, crummy quality photos, but you can at least see what the original intention was. He's supposed to be a realistic tarantula. No, they decided at the last minute, we've got too much brown. We've got too much brown going on in this series, so we're gonna need you to switch it up. So they come up with a fantasy spider, the purple and yellow, and I mean, it looks cool. It's iconic for tarantulas now, but man, like that mold that came out in Legacy, I know that's still a new mold, so they still got plenty of time to reuse it. There's options though, and this seems like obvious for like a Selects release. The hilarious one. What would be great is if they took that Tarantulas toy and literally repainted it into Black Arachnia, the way the original toy was, like ham-fisted that deco into that mold. I would love that. It's a goofy idea, but I would love it. But then again, I'm the same one who loves the idea of repainting Kingdom Tigatron and Cheetor into each other's color schemes based on what the original toys did. That's just me being goofy. It's never going to work, but it's there. Here's one that's obvious, and we could do it literally anytime we want because it exists in literally every line. Where is my Wasp? So, Fugitive Wasp was supposed to be part of a canceled wave of Transformers animated toys that never actually made it out into the world. And that is a shame because this is a very nice color scheme, the pre-Waspinator. Literally any toy line with a Bumblebee, we can make this happen. Just 2-tone green, so a little bit of black in there, a little bit of purple, and you've got Wasp. You've got Fugitive Wasp, Decepticon Wasp, whatever you want to call him. Yeah, this is a very easy way of just doing an animated homage without like going all in on like a brand new mold designed for animated. We're getting a little bit of animated in Legacy, which is cool. I'm hoping the third year of Legacy gives us more because Prowl actually turned out pretty decent. If they do us a Bumblebee, it absolutely has to come out as Wasp. This feels like it's just been too long. This feels like it's been way too long that we've been after this one, and it's never happened. We got plenty of opportunity. But again, literally any Bumblebee I would take in these colors. Not only because they look good, but because, Wasp is an interesting character that they've never revisited. And it's kind of a shame that... Here's one I know I've brought up before, because this is another obvious one. How many times have we seen a Sideswipe toy that didn't come out as Armada Wheeljack? And again, we're in Legacy right now. This is a quick retool of Sideswipe away. And I know that Sideswipe mold has been used to death. I mean, it's coming up on like Seeker territory as far as like overuse. But I would go for one more round if it meant getting something like this. Now remember, the fact that the head sculpt looks like Sideswipe in the first place is something that the Japanese designers did. That was not ever the original intention. The story either goes from like it was done intentionally by the artists and designers in Japan, or it was completely coincidental. Either way, he's always looked like Sideswipe, especially from the waist up. So actually, like, kind of like, yeah, like, where is this homage? I don't even care if it's this one or or Rampage, the Micron Densetsu version. I would take either one. I'd take either one because this is a big lost opportunity. Here's one that's very, very apparent that we need. Well, maybe not that we need, but man, it would be cool. Where's my Nova Prime? We have exactly one Nova Prime toy, and it was an exclusive for the TFCC. Where is a main one? Where's a real Nova Prime toy at this point? You know what we have now? We have the Siege version. We have the Cybertron inspired Optimus Prime from Siege. You remold that extra bit that forms like the wing pack and the boosters, and here's what you do. Like, you give him his more accurate wings. You ditch the big cannons for that truck mode, and instead you give him extra shell that forms onto his legs for extra armor. Like, that's where you put like an extra chest piece that forms onto him. Like, you have options there, and really good options if anyone wants to bother exercising them. This would look really, really cool. Like, I would not be surprised if they gave us a Nova Prime at some point based on that Siege figure. I would now, my preference, new mold. My absolute preference is a new mold because that design just does not quite fit, frankly. It's not a perfect fit, but because it's a winged Optimus Prime, I can absolutely imagine them thinking that at some point. But yeah, I would want this design. I would want this design however that has to happen. It almost looks closer to the Volvo Optimus Prime that was just out. Like, that's the one. That one almost looks like could have been Nova. A lot more retooling to get the wings on, but you get the point. Quick one here. We got a Senator Ratbat or two once in a while, but why did we get a Mind Wipe toy that was never redone as Ratbat? As Senator Ratbat specifically. Doesn't that seem like really obvious now that I actually say it? Because that toy got remolded into Dracula before it got remolded. It got remolded into two of the three major bats in Transformers. There's a few others, Sonar, RID, Megatron, but like the three major bats in Transformers in my head is Ratbat, Mind Wipe, and the Beast Wars Optimus Primal, the original one. No, this mold, the mold for Mind Wipe got used for two of those three characters, and I'm just kind of like scratching my head where the Ratbat go, because like I would love the remolding it would take to redo him into like something that looks akin to Ratbat's actual like a normal beast mode. That would be super cool, and to have it turn into a robot. Oh my god, I love that. I would love it. All right, we're coming up to the usual time here, so let's give me one more go. We'll do Starscream, and like, why do you look at any Starscream? We've had so many Starscream repaints, but I'm surprised there's a few that have never been touched, and one of them is the Action Master. It's derived from his Pretender colors, which are close to this, but the Action Master takes it even further away from standard Starscream, and I think that gives it just enough extra detail and difference from the standard Starscream to give it a go. I mean, and this is shocking to me, because if you look at this, the Classics Starscream figure was reused over 30 times. It is probably the most reused mold in Transformer history, and yet there are still Starscream designs that did not make the cut. This is one of them. You know the other one that I thought I'm shocked never happened? The Masterpiece, the original Masterpiece Starscream. Where is this color scheme? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not a huge fan of this color scheme. But because it was the first major big Starscream toy that ever came out, a lot of people are still attached to it. And there's still people that love this particular color scheme. Whether you like the more the more like, I would say realistic tones, but a lot of jets really aren't this color. But still the more like serious military tone to Starscream rather than, you know, looking like a stunt jet. That's kind of where like I'm like thinking as far as these colors go. But it's just shocking to me that such a major Starscream design with such major differences in his natural color scheme has never had any homage at all. You know, and keep in mind, with this particular topic, I could go on forever. I'm still the one that advocates for Sunstreaker to be redone as alternator dead end, for any given smokescreen to be alternator smokescreen to go with him. You know, my brain is filled with potential repaint ideas that have never happened before, but these just seem like some of the most obvious directions to go that has never been hit by Hasbro in any way, shape, or form, and it's starting to get a little bit weird that they don't go for those. But that's just a few examples. Leave a few more in the comments below. Which ones did I miss? Which ones are obvious to you that I've completely missed out on? Because I'm sure there are a ton of them, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys think about it. So, thank you everyone for watching. As always, I will see you next time.
It's the bosun's turn. He's looking at TJ's character, and he's just like, what you gonna do?
Right. I blew him a kiss.
I love him. I love him.
What the hell's your problem? He's just gonna pull his can crossbow and just fire at you.
That's fair at this point.